The stranger in the mirror. Samantha had always been drawn to the old Victorian mansion on the outskirts of town. It had been abandoned for years, but the rumors about the place were unsettling, whispers of hauntings, of strange occurrences in the dead of night. Still, there was something about the mansion that called to her, a pull she couldn't explain. One evening, Samantha's curiosity got the better of her. She snuck into the mansion through a broken window. Inside, the air was thick with dust, the silence almost suffocating. She wandered through the grand halls, past faded portraits and broken chandeliers, until she came across a massive, ornate mirror in the master bedroom. The mirror was covered in dust, but as Samantha approached it, she felt a strange heat radiating from it. Slowly, she wiped away the dust, revealing her reflection. But something was wrong. The room behind her and the reflection was different. In the mirror, the bed was made, the room spotless, and standing behind her was a man, a stranger. She spun around, but the room was as abandoned as before. Heart racing, she turned back to the mirror. The man was still there, watching her with an intense, unnerving gaze. Her pulse quickened as the stranger in the reflection slowly began to undress. His movements were smooth, deliberate, as if he knew she was watching him. Samantha couldn't tear her eyes away, her breath caught in her throat. The reflection felt too real, too alive. She could feel the tension between them, even though he existed only on the other side of the glass. Then, something changed. The man stepped closer to the surface of the mirror, his hand reaching toward her. Samantha took a step back, but it was too late. His hand emerged from the glass, cold and solid, gripping her wrist. She gasped, trying to pull away, but his grip was impossibly strong. The man leaned closer, his face just inches from hers, though his body was still half inside the mirror. His breath was cold, like a winter wind, and his eyes burned with an otherworldly desire. "You're mine now," he whispered, his voice echoing through the room like a distant memory. Suddenly, Samantha felt herself being pulled toward the mirror. She struggled, but it was as if the air around her had become thick, holding her in place. The reflection behind the man began to shift, showing glimpses of other women, trapped, screaming silently, their hands pressed against the glass from the other side. Panic surged through her. With all her strength, she yanked her arm free and stumbled back, falling to the floor. The man's expression twisted into something dark, furious. His hand still reached for her from inside the mirror, but the surface had become solid again, trapping him. Samantha scrambled to her feet and ran, the sound of her footsteps echoing in the empty halls. She didn't stop until she was out of the mansion, gasping for breath, her heart pounding in her chest. She never returned to the mansion after that night. But every time she looked into a mirror, she could feel him watching, waiting, just behind the glass.